All right, let's dive into something I think we've all thought about at one point or another, taking our spoken English to that next level.
It's really fascinating, isn't it, how much emphasis is put on speaking fluently?
Oh, yeah.
It's the key to so much in the English-speaking world.
It really is. You shared this guide with 8 tips, and I'm ready to, unlock the secrets to sounding smoother, more confident, more, I don't know, just cooler when I speak.
Yeah.
I used to be terrified of speaking English in public.
Oh, really?
I would get all tongue-tied, I'd get flustered. But then, I discovered this guide, and it really helped me kind of turn things around. The first tip is practice makes perfect. And we've all heard that before.
Right, of course.
Okay. So what's the insight here? What's the secret sauce?
Well, it's not just about quantity, it's about quality practice.
Okay.
And it's about being strategic with who you practice with. The guide suggests mixing it up, chat with friends, chat with colleagues, even that barista who makes your morning coffee.
I see.
Each interaction kind of helps you flex different conversational muscles.
So it's like cross-training for your English skills.
Exactly. Think about your daily routine.
Yeah.
Who do you interact with regularly? Those are your built-in practice partners.
That's a really cool way to look at it. Okay, so we're practicing smart, but tip number 2 is taking it a step further and reflecting on those conversations. Now, I'll admit, I'm not great at this. I kind of just chat and move on. But the guide says to actually pause and think about how it went. What's the thinking behind that?
Well, it turns casual conversation into active learning. Imagine watching a movie and then immediately forgetting everything. Instead, you want to rewind, analyze the key scenes, figure out what made them work.
Yeah.
Conversations are the same. The guide suggests asking yourself, how did it go overall? What felt difficult? Any new words that I can add to my vocabulary?
So it's like having a debrief after a mission, figuring out what went well, what needs work, what new tools you need.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Okay.
And to really level up, a language learning journal could be your secret weapon.
Ooh, I like that.
Jot down those reflections, track your progress, and even create personalized vocabulary lists.
I'm already feeling more organized about this whole speaking better thing.
Good.
Speaking of which, tip number 3 feels like getting permission to indulge. Listen and read. Does this mean I can binge watch my favorite shows and call it studying?
Absolutely, but be an engaged viewer, not just passively absorbing.
Okay.
Actively listen for interesting expressions, slang, synonyms, anything that kind of stands out. Jot those down. They become part of your speaking toolbox.
So if I'm watching a British comedy
Yes.
and someone says, blimey, I should write that down.
Exactly, and then you can look it up, understand its context, and maybe even try using it yourself.
Oh, that's great. This is brilliant. It turns our entertainment into language learning gold mines. What movies or music do you love? They're now secretly study sessions.
That ties in perfectly with tip number 4, preparing cheat sheets.
I am all about this one. I used to write down restaurant phrases on my hand before traveling.
Yeah.
The guide says this is legit, right?
Totally legit. It's about anticipating those situations that make you nervous and arming yourself with the language that you'll need.
So like having a linguistic safety net.
Exactly. Think beyond what's in the guide. Giving a presentation at work, navigating public transit in a new city.
Right.
Brainstorm your own tricky situations and create personalized cheat sheets. You'll feel much more in control.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Okay. Tip number 5 is the one that gives me a little stage fright. Phone calls. Phone calls in another language, no thank you.
It's understandable. Phone calls are tough because you're missing all those visual cues, facial expressions, body language.
Right.
It's like trying to play charades with a blindfold on.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. No wonder it feels so hard.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are ways to conquer this. Starting small with phone calls to friends where the pressure is low helps build confidence.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is where those cheat sheets become even more crucial, right?
Absolutely. Having your questions and key vocab ready beforehand can make a world of difference.
Okay. I'm feeling a bit braver about phone calls already. Now, the next tip is one that I think we can all relate to. The dreaded voice recording. Hearing your own voice can be rough.
Yes.
But the guide says it's important.
Yeah.
Convince me.
It's about self-awareness.
Okay.
We often sound different to ourselves than we do to others.
Yeah.
Recording reveals habits we're unaware of, speaking too quickly, mumbling, swallowing sounds.
So it's not about self-criticism, but about getting like an objective view of how we actually sound.
Exactly. And think about it, even professional singers and actors record themselves to improve.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'll add record myself speaking to my list of slightly terrifying but necessary tasks. Now, tip number 7 focuses on using phrases, not just single words. So instead of saying, "How are you?" I won't say, "What's up?"
Wait, is that too informal for my boss?
You've hit on a key point.
Yeah.
Context is everything.
Yeah.
Learning phrases makes you sound more natural.
Yeah.
But choosing the right phrase for the right situation is crucial.
Okay.
It's like having a wardrobe full of clothes, but knowing which outfit is appropriate for a job interview versus a night out with friends.
So it's about expanding our options and then becoming masters of code switching.
Yes.
Depending on who we're talking to.
Precisely. And here's a challenge for you. Start noticing the phrases you use naturally in your native language.
Okay.
Can you find English equivalents for them? It's a fun way to expand your repertoire.
I love that. And finally, tip number 8 is the one that gets me really excited. Have fun. So singing along to pop songs is encouraged? Absolutely. And the guide even suggests giving impromptu speeches on random topics. The point is, when we enjoy learning, we're more likely to stick with it. This tip reminds us to not take ourselves too seriously.
Okay, so an impromptu speech on the merits of pineapple on pizza, I'm in.
That's the spirit. The key is to find what works for you. Not every tip will resonate with everyone, and that's okay. The beauty of this guide is that it offers a diverse toolkit. It's about experimenting and finding your own path to spoken fluency.
So true. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. It's about finding what sparks your interest and makes you want to keep practicing. And speaking of practice, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this whole idea of finding language partners. Any tips on how to actually find people to speak with?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's something that so many language learners struggle with. But the good news is we live in a world where connection is easier than ever.
Right.
There are tons of online platforms and apps designed specifically for language exchange.
Wow.
You can connect with people from all over the world who are also learning English.
Oh, that sounds like a fun way to meet new people.
Yeah.
And maybe even make some friends along the way.
Yeah.
But what about those of us who are a bit more introverted? Is there hope for us too?
Absolutely. Remember that speak advice.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to involve another person. Talking to yourself can be surprisingly effective.
Wait, seriously, I always thought talking to yourself was a sign that you were going a little crazy.
Not at all. Think of it as thinking out loud. You can narrate your day, practice those tricky phrases, or even have imaginary conversations. It's a safe space to experiment and get comfortable with the sounds of English.
That actually makes a lot of sense. It's like giving yourself a private rehearsal before the big show.
Exactly.
No stage fright involved.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got online platforms. We've got our own inner monologue. Any other creative ways to get those speaking reps in?
Well, the guide mentions singing along to music, and I think that's a fantastic one. Music is such a powerful tool for language learning because it taps into our emotions and helps us remember words and phrases more easily.
Plus, it's just plain fun.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love belting out their favorite tunes in the shower? I know I do.
Exactly, and you don't have to be a rock star to benefit from it. Put on those English language playlists, sing along, and don't worry about hitting the high notes. It's all about getting those words out there and enjoying the process.
So music, movies, talking to ourselves, it's starting to feel like improving spoken English can be woven into our everyday lives without having to drastically change our routine.
That's the key takeaway.
Yeah.
It's about finding those little pockets of opportunity throughout your day and using them to your advantage. Even something as simple as ordering your coffee in English if you're in an English-speaking environment can be a mini victory.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Okay, so we're making progress. We're building confidence.
Yeah.
But what about those moments where we just completely blank?
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you're in a conversation and the right word vanishes from your brain.
We've all been there. It's one of the most frustrating experiences for language learners.
Yeah.
The key is to not panic.
Okay.
Remember all those amazing tools we've been talking about?
Right.
They're there to support you.
Okay, so if I can't remember the word for umbrella,
Yeah.
I can pull out my handy cheat sheet with weather vocabulary on it.
Exactly. Or you could try describing the object.
Okay.
Using words you do know.
Right.
It's the thing you use when it's raining to keep you dry.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's like playing a game of charades with yourself.
Exactly. And you know what?
All right.
Sometimes those moments of struggle can actually lead to some of the most memorable learning experiences.
How so?
Well, think about it. When you have to really work to communicate an idea,
Yeah.
you're engaging with the language on a deeper level. You're forced to think creatively, find alternative expressions, and really test your limits.
So those moments of brain freeze are actually opportunities for growth.
Precisely.
I like that.
And often the feeling of relief and accomplishment when you finally manage to get your point across
Oh, yeah.
is incredibly rewarding.
That's so true. It's like conquering a linguistic Mount Everest. Okay, so we've talked about practice. We've talked about resources.
Yeah.
We've even talked about embracing those awkward moments.
Yes.
What about the bigger picture? What role does improving spoken English play in our lives beyond just, being able to order our coffee?
That's a profound question.
Yeah.
And it's one that goes to the heart of why so many people dedicate themselves to learning English. The ability to communicate effectively in English opens up a world of possibilities.
Oh.
It allows you to connect with people from different cultures, access information and resources from around the globe, and pursue educational and professional opportunities that might otherwise be out of reach.
It's like unlocking a secret door to a whole new universe of experiences.
Exactly. And it's not just about practical benefits.
Okay.
Learning a new language can also have a profound impact on your personal growth.
Yeah.
It challenges your assumptions, broadens your perspectives, and helps you develop a deeper understanding of your own native language.
Wow, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
It's like learning English expands not just your vocabulary, but your whole worldview.
Precisely. And that, to me, is the most exciting part of the journey. It's about so much more than just memorizing words and grammar rules. It's about embracing a new way of thinking, connecting with others on a deeper level, and discovering hidden parts of yourself along the way.
Okay, I'm officially inspired. This has gone from a deep dive on spoken English to a deep dive on the meaning of life.
Well, language is, after all, the foundation of human connection. And the more effectively we can communicate, the more deeply we can connect with the world around us.
Beautifully said. This has been such an insightful conversation. I feel like we've covered so much ground.
Yeah.
But I also feel like we've just scratched the surface. There's so much more to explore.
There always is. And that's the beauty of language learning. It's a lifelong journey of discovery.
It really is. It feels like we've been given this incredible map.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to explore all the amazing landscapes it has to offer and create our own adventure.
What a fantastic way to put it.
Right.
And that brings up the importance of setting realistic goals for ourselves.
Okay.
And celebrating those small victories along the way. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of perfection.
Oh, yeah.
But fluency is a journey, not a destination.
I love that it's about progress, not perfection.
Yes.
And speaking of progress, we've covered all 8 tips in this guide.
Right.
But is there one that really stands out to you as being super important for taking that leap from hesitant speaker to confident communicator?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Because they all kind of work together.
Right.
But if I had to pick just one, I'd say it's tip number 2, reflecting on your conversations.
Okay.
That awareness of your strengths and weaknesses allows you to tailor your practice and really make meaningful progress.
So it's like having a coach in your corner,
Yeah.
giving you feedback and helping you fine-tune your approach.
Exactly. And the best part is you already have that coach within you.
Oh, wow.
It's just a matter of tapping into that awareness and letting it guide you.
Okay, so we've got our coach, we've got our toolkit, we're ready to hit the ground running. But before we wrap up, I have one last question.
Yeah.
We've talked about all the benefits of improving spoken English, but what about the challenging?
Yeah.
Let's be real. It can be frustrating, intimidating,
Right.
even a little embarrassing at times. How do we deal with those inevitable bumps in the road?
That's such an important question.
Yeah.
And I think the first step is acknowledging that those challenges are a normal part of the process.
Right.
Every language learner, no matter how fluent they become, will have moments of frustration and self-doubt.
Yeah.
The key is to reframe those experiences as opportunities for growth.
So instead of beating ourselves up over a mistake,
yes,
we should view it as a chance to learn and improve.
Exactly. And remember, you're not alone in this.
Oh, that's nice.
There's a whole community of language learners out there going through the same ups and downs.
Right.
Connect with them, share your experiences, and support each other along the way.
That's such a great reminder. Sometimes we get so caught up in our own heads that we forget there's a whole world of people who understand exactly what we're going through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And knowing that you're not alone can make all the difference in staying motivated and keeping that spark of enthusiasm alive.
This has been such an incredible deep dive.
Yeah.
We've gone from practical tips to philosophical insights. And I feel like I've learned so much, not just about speaking English, but about the whole process of language learning.
I feel the same way. And I hope our listener does too. If there's one thing I want them to take away from this conversation, it's this.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to embrace the journey. It's messy.
Yeah.
It's challenging.
Right.
But it's also incredibly rewarding.
Beautifully said. And who knows, maybe one day we'll be having the same conversation in fluent Spanish or Mandarin or whatever language we decide to conquer next.
Now that's a goal worth striving for. Until then, keep practicing, keep exploring, and never stop believing in your ability to learn and grow.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's a wrap on this deep dive. Thanks for joining us and happy language learning.
All right, let's dive in with me today. It looks like you've been focusing on conversational English with these YouTube videos, huh?
Yeah.
And I have to say, the topics are a real mix. New Year's resolutions, Christmas trees, and nail salons. Color me intrigued.
It is, it's fascinating how these seemingly random slices of life can actually reveal so much about culture and how we live.
Exactly. So let's start with those New Year's resolutions. The video highlights how spending more time with family and friends is always like a top contender on everyone's list. But then it gets into this really interesting point about the irony of that.
Right, because the video also points out how much of modern life is about being on the go, constantly working to provide for those same loved ones.
Yeah.
So you end up in this situation where you're working to give your family things, but that very work takes you away from them.
It's like this constant tug of war. You're trying to give them the best, but sometimes the best is just your presence, you know?
Totally. It really highlights a tension at the heart of a lot of societies. The desire for a strong family unit versus the economic pressures that pull us away from that.
Yeah.
The video even uses that economics phrase, goods and services, to describe what we're all working to provide.
Yeah.
It's subtle, but it makes you think about the bigger picture.
Totally. And this idea of resolving to change, the video does a nice job of explaining how it's not just about solving a problem, it's about making a firm decision to do something, almost like you're making a promise to yourself.
I think that's a key point. It's about intention and commitment and how that plays out in our lives, especially when faced with so many competing demands.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. We're going from resolutions to something a little more festive, like the Christmas tree tradition. Specifically, the video zooms in on the pine tree and all its symbolic weight.
The pine tree.
Yeah.
So much more than just needles and that wonderful scent. The video actually points out how in some cultures, that pine scent is even tied to the idea of cleanliness.
Really?
It's like this deep-rooted association.
So it really takes you back, doesn't it? The video also breaks down some key vocab like ornaments, which for anyone learning English might seem like a fancy word for simple decorations.
And then you've got stockings, which outside of the Christmas context are just socks, really. But during the holidays, they transform into these vessels of hope and excitement, hung by the chimney with care.
Speaking of which, the video describes a chimney as more than just a fireplace. It's like this magical portal for Santa Claus, a symbol of generosity and childhood wonder.
I love that observation. It reminds me of how objects can take on such layered meanings, especially within traditions and holidays.
All right, last stop on this whirlwind tour of everyday English. Nail salons. This one was a bit unexpected, but I have a feeling it's going to be insightful.
I think so too. The video starts by differentiating between a manicure for your hands and a pedicure for your feet, which is helpful for anyone unfamiliar with those terms.
And it even explains what nail polish is, the cuticles you have to be careful around, and how to file your nails. It's like a mini nail salon guide.
It is, yeah. But then it takes this really interesting turn. It talks about how this woman loves getting her nails done as a form of self-care, but her partner questions why she needs to go every week.
It raises this question about how we perceive self-care versus other obligations, right? Is getting your nails done frivolous, or is it a legitimate way to invest in your well-being?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And the video even highlights the phrase, to get your nails done, which seems simple enough, but it's loaded with cultural meaning.
Okay, I'm dying to hear your take on this. How has nail care evolved over time, and what does it say about our culture today?
Well, it's a fascinating evolution, really. Nail care used to be purely practical.
Yeah.
But now it's this intricate blend of art, self-expression, and even social ritual. In some cultures, it's a bonding activity, like going to the movies with friends. But at the same time, there's this pressure, especially for women, to conform to certain beauty standards. And that can be a whole other conversation.
It's like those seemingly simple activities can reveal so much about how we navigate societal expectations and personal desires, right? But okay, ready for another topic shift. This time, we're going from self-care straight into the world of travel.
Lead the way.
All right, so first up, hotels. The video sets up this scenario where a guy checks into a hotel, expecting a standard room, but there's been a mix-up. Turns out the hotel is overbooked. They've sold more rooms than they actually have. Disaster waiting to happen,
Well,
right?
you'd think so.
Right.
But this is where it gets interesting. Instead of leaving the guest stranded, they offer him a complimentary upgrade to the presidential suite. Talk about turning a negative into a positive.
It's the ultimate travel win.
Yeah.
And it highlights how important clear communication is. The video really emphasizes the phrase under the name when it comes to checking in. It's a small detail, but it can make all the difference in making sure you get the right room.
Absolutely. And this whole scenario also gives us a chance to explore some other useful hotel vocabulary. A deluxe room, for example, is a step up from your standard accommodation, often with extra amenities. And then there's the concierge, who can help you with anything from booking dinner reservations to finding the best local attractions.
It's like having a personal assistant at your fingertips. The video also mentions the booking department, which handles all the reservations and the receipt you get at the end outlining your charges. It's a little vocabulary crash course in the world of hotels.
Exactly. And speaking of travel, it looks like your sources also delve into train journeys.
Oh, nice.
There's this specific anecdote about a train trip in India where someone scored a first-class upgrade because of, you guessed it, overbooking.
There's something so romantic about train travel, isn't there? Just picturing those scenic views rolling by.
This particular anecdote paints a picture of luxury, too.
Uh-huh.
First-class travel in India often comes with spacious seating, delicious food, and top-notch service. It challenges the stereotype of cramped and uncomfortable train rides.
Okay, so from luxurious trains, we're jumping to planes. This video shares a story about someone flying from Shanghai to Qatar in economy class.
Oh, wow.
But getting a surprise upgrade to first class. And get this, they got to enjoy a 5-course meal and unlimited drinks.
So that's what I call flying high.
Yeah.
It seems like these travel upgrade stories highlight the element of surprise and delight that can come with venturing outside of our comfort zones.
It's a good reminder that sometimes the best experiences are the ones we least expect. So we've gone from the personal aspirations of New Year's resolutions to the traditions of Christmas trees, the societal nuances of nail salons, and now the unexpected adventures of travel upgrades. It's incredible how these seemingly unrelated topics can actually connect in such interesting ways.
Absolutely, and what ties them all together is this exploration of human behavior, cultural influences, and the choices we make in navigating the world around us.
It's all about finding those deeper layers of meaning, even in the everyday moments.
Yeah, it's like we're peeling back the layers of these everyday experiences and finding these universal themes underneath.
Yeah, it's all about perspective, right? And I think one of the biggest takeaways from all these videos is this power of societal expectations. You know, we touched on it with the pressure to provide for your family, the whole Christmas tree tradition, and even the conversation around nail salons and self-care.
That's such a key point. These expectations, often unspoken, can really shape our behavior and how we see ourselves.
Right.
It's like this invisible force that guides our decisions about everything from how we spend our time and money to what we consider important.
It makes you wonder how many of our choices are truly our own and how many are influenced by these external pressures.
Right.
That's a lot to unpack.
It really is. And it brings us back to your initial question about what connects these seemingly random topics.
Yeah.
Whether it's New Year's resolutions, Christmas trees, or nail salons.
Yeah.
They all touch on this tension between individual desires and societal expectations.
Right.
They offer a glimpse into how we navigate those pressures, both consciously and unconsciously.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener? We've explored some pretty diverse topics today, and I hope you've walked away with some new vocabulary and a deeper understanding of the cultural nuances behind everyday English.
We encourage you to keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep into the world around you. You never know what fascinating insights you might uncover.
And on that note, until our next deep dive, keep learning and keep those English skills sharp.